Beyond the point, we've been taking digital photographs of abandoned places for over a decade now. But in this video, we're going to try our hand at film photography and hopefully encourage you to give it a go yourself. Join us as we take a look at the pros and cons of film versus digital. We're also going to look at what options you have from the age of the camera to the cost. And then we're going to give them a go ourselves. So if you want to see some of the photographs that we actually take, please stick around to the end because we're going to find out exactly why film photography is so great for abandoned places. Let's go.
Urban exploration will take you to the most amazing places, often in the least suspecting locations. But in the modern world, technology and media leave little to be left to the imagination. This is why sometimes it's good to take a step back from digital and try something more experimental with film photography. As with exploration, it's about risk versus reward and a step into the unknown. Join us as we take a look at what film photography has to offer to those that enjoy photographing abandoned spaces and urban decay. Let's go. First, let's talk about cameras. The most accessible form of film photography is 35mm, equivalent to full frame in digital. This means your photographs on even a cheap old camera can technically be as high resolution as even the best modern digital cameras if you use a good lens. Furthermore, lenses are usually still fully modular between cameras old and new. So if this appeals to you, we should probably talk about what options of camera you've got. Cameras prior to the 1960s are fully manual, meaning that everything has to be adjusted yourself through trial and error. But by the 1970s, cameras such as this, the Olympus OM10, which I used to take these photographs, began to use battery-powered automatic elements, such as exposure control, meaning that it will automatically adjust the lighting for your shot for you, but you'll have to focus it yourself and wind each photo on. Cameras from the 90s took a step further and are often fully automatic, meaning that it will work just like a modern DSLR or mirrorless camera, with autofocus and even automatic film winding. If you want something even more simple, you might even prefer a compact point and shoot camera like this. So which camera is right for you? Well, there's no right and wrong, it's just a matter of taste. This leads us on to the next point, the cost. Whilst it's free to shoot as many digital photographs as you want with an SD card, the camera itself is often very expensive to invest in initially. However, there's perfectly good second-hand film cameras and you can get them for only £20 in places like eBay and Gumtree if you're starting out. Although the real cost comes from buying the film and having it developed, at around £5 to £15 for scans and prints per roll in the UK at the moment. This is why I describe it as pay-as-you-go photography, but it leaves you free to do as little or as much as you want. This isn't something that you really get when having to splurge out for a big, expensive digital camera. Some people love it, some hate it. Many will tell you that film photography is simply inferior to modern tech, and they'd be right. However, photography is art, and art throughout history has shown us that capturing feeling can be as legitimate as producing high quality, true to life representation. Film is the impressionism of photography.
So we picked up a couple of old film cameras. I've got this one here, the Canon EOS 300. I got it from the boot fair for only £5 out of a box of junk, and I've put a lens on it off eBay for £20. So £25 for a camera that autofocuses, not a bad deal whatsoever.
Now I've got a similar one. I've got the Nikon F60. Incredibly cheap camera. It was released in 1998. But one of the good things about it is it still works with my current Nikon lenses. So over the next few months we can take both our cameras out and put them to a real field test.
So what we do is open up the back. There we go. So looks like a digital camera. Then you do that and you realise something's a bit different here. Take the film. Take it out of the pot, and you can save that for when you're finished with it. You take it into the photography shop, and then all you have to do is pop it in and close it. Can be a little bit fiddly. So once that's in like that, then pull this out, like so. So this film unfortunately will get wasted, but that's just how they work. Put it in with the teeth on the little sprocket, you close it, and then turn it on, and it's wound all the film. So there we go, started on number 1. So we were all set. Now all we needed to do was find some abandoned places.
So I had my camera for a few months. I got it around Christmas time and then used it up to around March or April. And it was a really good camera actually, surprisingly easy to use. You literally look through the viewfinder, snap, take your photo, and that's that. One of the things that I found slightly hard to adjust to was not being able to see that picture straight away. So it was a bit frustrating having to wait maybe 2 or 3 months before you could actually see how your photo has come out. But I tested it in a few different scenarios, out with friends in London at night, and overall I think they came out really well. When I took the film to be developed, it was done within a matter of hours. 2 hours later I'd sent the link and I could have a look at them all, and they come out really well. There were a few blurred ones, which is slightly annoying. I think I got 36 photos of my film reel, and if some of them are blurred, obviously you're not getting the most out of it. But overall it's quite a fun camera to have, and I don't know, something just feels a little bit more authentic about taking photos on a film camera rather than a digital one.
So, I've used this camera for a couple of shoots now and developed a couple of films off it, and I'm really impressed with the results. They're quite sharper than the 1970s camera that I'd used before. This camera, it's got all the bells and whistles of a modern digital camera, autofocus, everything, but it comes out in film and the quality is just as good sometimes as some of the new stuff. Now obviously they're not always going to look as good. A lot of the shots have come out blurry. You know, it is a bit of an experiment. I suppose you win some and you lose some, but the pictures that did come out well have just got so much character to them and like a real immersive feeling that you don't always get with digital photography, especially in broad daylight, whereas a film shot, sometimes it just gives it this sort of nostalgic view as if you're already looking back into the past at the place that you've been, which I think is quite fitting considering the places that we go are often those with a lot of history to them. Here's some of the film photos we've taken over the past 4 years. It's not only been great fun, but I can't get enough of the atmosphere and the gritty feeling which brings these locations to life. You can do everything with these you could normally do, from long exposures in low light to adjusting them to your liking in post. Ultimately, film may be imperfect, but like these places, the rough edges only seem to add to the appeal. But beyond the point, we seek to not only capture the structures left behind, but the emotion within their walls. And nothing seems to do better than film photography. As they say, an image speaks 1,000 words. And whilst these places decay and disappear and we can't always save them, we can capture a moment in time of their lifespans, and our own alike. So why not try it yourself?